there, planet Earth, and happy Friday. Hope everyone survived St. Patrick's Day. Actually, I wanted to give you guys a new discovery of mine. The website nationaldaycalendar.com. If you check it out, you'll notice that Sunday the 24th is actually National Cheesesteak Day. So obviously, this is a holiday I can get behind. I'll visit my buddy TJ from Cheesesteak Louie's. He was a guest a few years back from Seaside Park, New Jersey. Anyway, it's Friday, and it's always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. ICYMI, or in case you missed it, SMB stands for Small and Medium Sized Business. For the last 20 years, I've been a consultant for SMBs, a voice and a sounding board for business leaders, advocating on their behalf, their employees too. I believe very strongly, folks, in sharing stories, providing perspective, and creating connection. That's what I'm all about. So every single Friday, you can find me right here on talkradio.nyc doing just that, lending what's left of my mind and my voice to this radio show where I interview business leaders as well as the folks who guide them in the right direction, their trusted advisors. One thing that I've noticed rather consistently over the years, people, some of the best thought leadership for businesses, it actually happens on Friday, just about the time we feel that freedom of the weekend coming and we want to cut loose. However, we're so anxious to start the weekend. These crucial pearls of wisdom, they're often overlooked. They're forgotten in favor of our fun activities and our freedom from the office. Here on the show, we take advantage of that weekend freedom and clarity, and we like to discuss popular topics that are on the minds of SMB leaders. Once again, the name of the show, not just to play on words. My last name means free in German, so there's a little bit of method behind the madness. There's a reason I'm wearing shades. There's a reason I like to do this on Friday. I like to feel nice and free about it. So as I told you guys last week, I had my first stint on Saturday last weekend as a referee with my buddy Berger. It's quite a team, Berger and Fry. We were reffing the game. Harlem Wizards did a show at Manalapan Englishtown Middle School where I live. So all I had to do was basically be part of the show. It's like they said it'd be the best game you never reffed in your life. So great experience, great show, great folks, really entertained everybody, brought me back to my 1989 Harlem Globetrotters experience. Softball is just about here. My draft is on Sunday, so I'm very excited about that. We had a pre-draft party yesterday, everyone getting loose and ready for the season. And earlier in the week, I actually went to go see a buddy of mine, Michael Goldberg. He's been a guest on the show a few times. He teaches for the last 20 years a public speaking class at Rutgers University. So always a great time anytime I drop in to see what kind of pearls of wisdom he's dropping on his students. But today we're not going to be talking about public speaking. I mean, I guess we kind of are. We're always doing a little bit of public speaking on the show. We're going to be talking a little bit more about Irish public houses, one of my favorite types of SMBs. So the title of today's show is OJ Max is Back. In Ireland, a pub is an establishment that's licensed to serve alcoholic drinks for consumption on the premises. Irish pubs, typically characterized by unique culture, centered around a very casual, friendly atmosphere, hearty food and drink, sports, music, all of the above. The widespread appeal has led to the Irish pub theme and concept spreading around the world. While they've existed for roughly a millennium, they're extremely popular today. It's can't really go down the street without seeing one these days. But they're the oldest pub in Ireland is from around the 10th century. So just to give you guys an idea of how long the concept's been around, everybody likes to cut loose, whether it's the week or during the week or it's the weekend, right? So Irish pubs or public houses, they were the working man's alternative to private drinking establishments that were frequented by those who could pay for entry. Sounds very aristocratic, right? You got to pay to get into the bar. Well, maybe not when I think back to my college days and I paid $7 for all you can drink beer. I would get beer dumped on me every single time I would go to that bar. Anyway, talk is cheap. We're on talkradio.nyc. We don't want this to just be talk. The goal here is to use the insight that we get on the business landscape and create some more impact on Monday morning. That's it. We're about to start the weekend. We're about to cut loose. It's far too often that the businesses I work with, they're focused on some type of product that's going to solve their problem, some shiny new mousetrap. One consistent thing I see out there over the years, the products that we deal with, well, maybe with the exception of liquor in the booze business, but the products that we deal with, they change every single day, whether you're talking about your personal life or your business life. You know, the TV you bought 10 years ago, different than the TV you bought last week. But there's no substitute for surrounding yourself with the right people first and keeping a focus on the process that's going to help you achieve your goals. That's what it's all about. You do that, the right products will be there when you need them. Everything begins and ends with the people. You got to have the right crew around you. So I know I have the right person around me today to talk a little bit about being a small, medium sized business owner, being a trusted advisor to other businesses, and being an owner and proprietor of his own bar and restaurant. We are chatting with my buddy, Owen McElroy. He's the owner of OJ Max, which is an Irish public house in Bayonne, New Jersey. So I'm going to give you my take on a bio for Owen, right? So I moved to Hoboken in 2009 with my wife, and Owen, Owen J. McElroy, OJ Max, it's not just a clever name. So OJ, he was the business banker at PNC Bank, which was in the lobby of my building. My building had a lobby retail establishment. And I felt like I had to have a bank account at the PNC Bank that was in the lobby of my building because why the hell wouldn't I? It's like I need to access money before I go out or in the middle of the night. What for whatever I need it for? Great, might as well have an account there. So when I went in there, Owen was one of the first people that I met, and we hit it off right away. And I wasn't sure why at the time, but as I got to know him a little bit more, it became very, very clear to me. Not only is he a cool dude to go drinking with and hanging out with, but he is a small, medium sized business renaissance man, right? He comes from a family of folks that have had their own entrepreneurial ventures, small, medium sized business focus. He's had a bunch of his own entrepreneurial ventures. He's, even before I met him, he had a bar called OJ Max in Bayonne, New Jersey. So he's going to talk to you guys a little bit more about that today. This is the comeback. You can't keep a good man down. This is what his big time passion is. So I'm really excited to talk to him today because he's done a whole bunch of things from developing his own little tech products here and there. He's owned a bed and breakfast in the Wyndham area in the Catskills. I'm a big ski guy. This was the bed and breakfast shirt, actually, the Ashland Mountain House. His parents have owned a bed and breakfast. Like, this is just a family of SMB-minded entrepreneurs, and I love that type of stuff. He is the best person to speak with about Irish pubs for sure, and we could definitely talk to him a little bit about his other entrepreneurial ventures. Joining us this morning from before his next pint in Bayonne, the man, the myth, the legend, OJ Mack himself. Owen, welcome to Always Friday, brother. Great to have you here. Well, you do have to come off mute in order for me to hear you. That is one thing that is very consistent about this.
How's that? Am I off?
That's good. That's good. I can hear you. I can see you. You're beautiful.
All right. I brought my father with me
You
for moral
did?
support.
Owen!
Can you see
And
him there?
Owen! This is Owen.
The older man. The older man.
This is the Owen
Yeah,
J.
you got two
McElroy
off.
Sr. Owen J. McElroy Sr., Owen
That's
Joy
it.
McElroy Jr. Nice to see you guys.
How you doing? That's it. I like that shirt. I like that shirt,
That's,
Steve. Good to see you.
that's right, baby. Owen and Owen, I've known both of you guys at this point because I met your father like right after I met you. I've known you for like 15 years at this
Yeah,
point. So, yeah, again, like you
I
always
know.
strike me since the very beginning as like an SMB renaissance man. Like there's no idea concept too big for you to tackle or too small. I'm excited for you to tell everyone about your travels, and I'm thrilled that you have your dad here with you because I know he's been an SMB guy along the way too. Let's get into it. Let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about how you got where you are today. Lay it on us, baby.
I don't know if you're talking me up too much. You're gonna blow my head up here. But yeah, I mean, I've been in the hospitality business as long as I can remember. My mom and dad got me into this. They've had a bed and breakfast in upstate New York, which led me in the direction of going for that hotel restaurant management degree from Widener University back long time. I'm going to date myself, but yeah, 91 to
Yeah.
95. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they wound up having two bed and breakfasts. I helped them run both of them, and we had them forever. And I said, this is just the perfect fit for me. I loved it. I loved hospitality. One of my favorite things in life is learning people's backstory. I love getting to know people.
Yeah.
Truly, that's like I wouldn't call it a hobby, but it's like a passion of mine to never burn bridges. I just love getting to know people and getting to know their story. And what better place like my grandfather, my father's father had a bar in Newark called Owens Long Bar, and then he had an OJ Max. My father was involved in the bar business a little bit back in the day, and my grandfather used to joke and say, "Lawyer, doctor, Indian chief," right? He'd say, it's probably not a politically correct thing to say anymore, but he would say, in the bar business, you get to, it's a privilege to play lawyer, doctor, Indian chief. You get to talk to every walk of life, every walk of life. And as you
But
know, because I
therapist
met you when
isn't
I
in
was a
there at
business,
all. No therapy. Therapist? No.
the therapist is getting to talk to people. You got a problem? You get to tell everybody at the bar, problem solved. That is your therapy. Being in the bar business is therapy. You
Dude, I
know,
love chatting with
you
bartenders,
get,
and on the air, it's extra special because we could rap all day probably.
I'm telling you, you get bartenders nowadays. I see that are on their phone, and like most kids are today, high school kids or even younger. But when you have a bar business, your job is not to sit there and consume yourself with your phone. I would think you'd want to, like, there's so much opportunity to have fun chatting with people. Why would you want to be on your phone? When I see that when I'm in a bar, I get so turned off. I get up, I walk out. Just like, come on. I mean, that's not what this job's about.
This was the scene at the pre-draft party last night. Everybody's talking smack to each other. Everybody's talking who's picking who when. Like it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
just like you couldn't find a bigger feeling of camaraderie last night. It was just great.
Very cool. Very cool. So,
So one thing I'm upset about though is I missed. I believe, and we'll get into this as we talk a little further. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe Thursday night is '80s night.
we just kicked that in. Throwback Thursdays. I think this was the third week we had it last night. It was 80s, and then last week was 90s. Last night was 80s again. So yeah, we're trying a whole bunch of things every night. I want to see what hits and what doesn't. We do a karaoke night. We do a trivia night, which is fun. We got a couple people here that are great entertainers, great DJs, and they're helping me promote the place. They're always on the mics talking about what's coming up next. So it's good. And then we have the live entertainment on Fridays. I'm looking for permanent, maybe 2 or 3 DJs, but permanently have that on Saturdays. Do live entertainment on Fridays as far as bands, whether it's a solo or a full band. We had a 4-piece loud band in this relatively small front part of the bar a couple weeks back. People loved it. I mean, we were jammed, but I'm like, all right, maybe this is overkill because I got a big backyard patio. That's probably the better place for a big 4-piece band. But
Right.
yeah, it's Steve. I'm sorry, I'm back in my element. I've just gotten back into this business after 17 years. I was a business banker, as you know. That's where I met you.
Yep.
And that was right after I got out of the bar business. My whole life was bar, just bar and restaurant. I did hotel right out of college in 95. But then by 98, I was working in Hoboken, and I managed Texas, Arizona, and Hoboken for a
Right.
couple of years. And then I did the grand opening, and I opened up the Madison up on 14th and Wash in Hoboken. I'm
Yep.
giving specifics because there's a lot of people that know Hoboken quite well. So I'll say
I've
that.
definitely killed a fair amount of time and pints and martinis and food there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
And
bravo
they,
to you, brother, for the social media job that you're doing thus far. If
thank
it's
you.
you, if it's your crew, if it's all of the above. I have an OJ Max thing in my feed every 5 minutes, which
I'm,
I just wish it was closer to me than Bayonne, but I'm still making the trip. It's not going to matter.
I'll tell you what, there's one of my bartenders, Peyton Farley. She kind of leads the charge on Instagram and a lot of the social media, just pictures and videos. And hey, this is who's working tonight, whatever. And then I got this guy, Pete Nastasi. That was Peyton, I think, put that up.
Yep.
And
Yes, you
then
did.
and then Pete Nastasi. Shout out to Pete. He has been so great in his efforts, and he doesn't really even ask for much as far as pay or compensation. I obviously take care of him, but he's just excited to be part of it. He sees like there's this special thing going on, that this thing is just kind of getting a life of its own, and it's I don't know if it's going to be lightning in a bottle again like the first OJ Max that I opened back in '01, but it's starting to be starting to feel like there's really something special coming together. When you build a bar, there's a culture to it. I mean, you really want to build a culture where it's almost like at some point I get to step back, which is nowhere it's not coming up anytime soon yet, but at some point, I just get to steer the ship,
Yep.
and honestly, the employees are so embedded and committed to upholding this culture that's been built that they'll manage the place for me. And they'll say, this one's not holding up. They're not pulling their weight. This one's doing this wrong. Hey, this one, no one likes a tattletale, but I do.
Building most businesses, bro, is a lot about the culture. That's what's going to make it happen. We got to take this quick break. I love where you're going with all this, and I'm fired up because I can't wait to come and party with you at this place. And I've been trying to make it happen all week.
I cannot wait to lift the fire.
We will be right back with Owen J. McElroy, effectively known as OJ Mac. He's the owner of OJ Max in Bayonne. Stay with us.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday. It's always Friday. And it's me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. We are chatting with Owen McElroy. He's the owner of OJ Max, an Irish public house in Bayonne, New Jersey. I would call it the Irish public house in Bayonne, New Jersey. It's really not just your typical spot, that's for sure. Owen, before I kick off the method segment here, the second phase of my show, I do like to sit out by my fire pit, so to speak, and just give a quick perspective. And you said it actually pretty well before. Actually, maybe we could put a little fireplace in from the Ashland Mountain House. Might be a little bit more appropriate.
I like that. Nice.
Yeah, no, see? So you said it before, man. Like, people these days not being present is a big deal. And especially when you're in a bar or a restaurant and you're a bartender, you're a waitress, you're in the food, the hospitality, the service types of industries.
Yeah.
You got to be attentive to people. And it behooves you to learn what makes them tick and learn the story. Like, I'm a sales strategy, business development guy. I'm, my 9 to 5 type of work. Same thing for me. I got to really get to know my people. So, we experienced the pandemic a few years ago. Maybe there was less bar time than people, were used to. Definitely. Well, there wasn't less liquor and booze time. It's like, I think my liquor bill then was out of control. But, the idea of, I almost wore this shirt on the show today. Good stories aren't told over water, right? I love the idea that we can do, a radio show and meetings via Zoom, right? You're in Bayonne. I'm down here in Manalapan, New Jersey. I could do a show with somebody and I have in London and Australia and all kinds of places. But I always say things like there's no substitute for shaking hands, giving hugs, kissing babies, and having drinks. So
I'm with you.
Why not be present for that?
100%.
So it
100%.
blows my mind when people are just like kind of absorbed by their own kind of crap. If people, especially if a bartender is staring at their phone, I'm sure you don't stand for any of that crap in your place.
I'll be happy if some of my bartenders just can name my regulars. I mean, start with the name and we'll go from there. Because some of them don't have an interest, it seems, to know their name. I've already let a few people go. Listen, I don't care if you look the part, so to speak. I don't care if you're mechanically brilliant and have won flair contests flipping bottles. I don't give a crap. I need people to be, like you said, present. And you
Yeah.
know what? The number one most important thing in a bar and a restaurant is consistency, which ties into everything. But I
Yes.
remember back when I was in college, I used to be subscribed to something called Restaurant News, but I know this is still true today because they did a Gallup poll that was released way back in the day, and it resonated, and I never forgot it. Number one most important thing you would think would be taste of food, service, ambiance, the temperature, the music, blah, 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 blah. There's a million things in a bar and restaurant. But the number one most important thing above all else is consistency. They want to know that when they come back, whatever they enjoyed last time is going to be just like it was the time before. So
Yeah.
if it's different every time they come in, the service is different, maybe the cooks have changed and we haven't gotten our act together in the kitchen, and maybe some of the recipes are off a little bit. That really upsets people, and rightfully so. Once you have a winning combination and you get a zero tolerance list in your restaurant or bar, and then you have an operating procedure, a closing procedure, and then the millions of things in between, and you say, hey, you say to your staff, I'm not looking for you to exert extra energy. It's not like I'm asking you guys to do 20 squats with 400 pounds. I'm asking you to do a certain methodology, lay left, rip right. You want to put desserts down, make the point of the pie face the guest. Now, these are all like little upscale things that I'm touching on right now, which isn't something I apply here. But if I'm asking you to do something a certain way, do it that way every time. And I want everyone to do it the same way, because that's what people are going to expect. Consistency and being present.
You made me think of, you remember Casino? Remember the
Casino,
movie
yeah.
Casino? It's like an
Yes,
equal amount of
with the right
blueberries
amount
in
of
each
chips.
muffin. An equal amount of blueberries
Yeah.
in each muffin.
I
So,
want the
but
same amount.
that's important though, because what you say is 100%
Yeah,
accurate.
in the movie, the guy goes, you know how long that's going to take? He goes, I don't care.
I don't care. An equal amount of blueberries in each muffin.
Yeah,
It's like, so, but that's
equal amount.
it's exactly the point. It's
That's what I'm talking about.
so it is a business transaction, right? Even though it doesn't feel like that, if somebody's going to come to your establishment and buy some booze and buy some food and have the experience, to
Yeah.
do business with anybody, they have to like you, they have to trust you, and they have to think you know what you're talking about. And the trust factor comes from consistency.
Yeah, and I guess when you get down to brass tacks, it is sales. You're selling yourself, you're selling the experience. I don't want to think of it as sales. I want to think of it as, friendly camaraderie and just having a great time with people. All these people I'm getting to meet, a lot of old school people I knew from back in the day, but I've met a million new people. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of you're selling, not just me, but the whole staff is selling a product, and that product is to make people feel great and leave here with a smile. That's all I ask. Make sure everybody's leaving here with a smile.
So
I feel like
arguably, you're selling the experience, right? You're selling the
yeah, I mean
experience. You want it to be a good experience.
that's what the business is.
Yep. So let's
Yeah.
shift gears for a second, right? Because if you hear the intro shtick to my show, right? I'm a really big
I did.
people and process guy before products. However, I like to be conscious of products, right? I like to be conscious of what's going on out there, whether it's a shiny new mousetrap, new tech, new app. This has come across my social media feed a whole bunch, that you're going to be one of the only folks, maybe the only folks in Bayonne that sell this
Yeah.
whiskey. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, it happens to be we went to school with one of the owners that is part of that company, which is not why I'm pushing it. I'm pushing it because it happens to be phenomenal Irish whiskey, and actually we're right out of the gate. It's already been selling. It's already been selling. Another thing I want to mention before I forget is Brian Costello, my friend. My father's friends with my buddy Brian as well. Another product that you're only going to find here at OJ Max is Blue Steel Pizza. I don't know if you saw that, if you researched enough, because this is kind of new.
I
But
did. I totally forgot to save my Zoolander picture of me going like this.
yeah, the Blue Steel. Yeah, and he gets his chops busted for that all the time. But
Absolutely.
it's Detroit style pizza. We're the only one anywhere near Bayonne. Somewhere up in the Jersey City Heights, there's a place called High Low or something like that also sells it. I have yet to get in there to see how their pizza tastes, but it's Detroit style pizza, which is almost it's like a rectangular pie as it's served. It's a million different variations of what gets put on it. I know the original place in Bloomfield has 16 different toppings or types of pies, but it's like a focaccia bread type base. It's a 3-day process to make the dough and have it to rise, and then they do another thing and that thing. They went through the whole thing with me. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it takes a long time to make the base of these pizzas. And then I'm basically putting the toppings on here, doing the finishing touches on, and then we'll serve it to our guests. So we're going to focus on just the pizza and the appetizers for a couple months, and then we're going to integrate everything else in afterwards, the burgers and everything else. I want to make it so that this place is known for phenomenal, very unique pizza. So shout out to Brian Costello and the Blue Steel Pizza Company out of Bloomfield.
So Owen Senior, I don't know. This is a perfect segue into something that I wanted to ask Owen. I was chatting with him before the show started, right? So Owen Senior, I asked OJ before if the bar was ultimately going to do a Sunday brunch and if they will serve the McElroy traditional Irish pancakes.
There they are.
So,
we do that some crazy?
Yeah, Irish soda bread.
Oh, my mom and dad make unbelievable Irish soda bread.
Recipe right from Ireland.
Yeah.
really? I never tried that.
It's the best.
Phenomenal.
It's the best. We
Well,
put out
well,
how many? Sorry,
I would definitely try the soda bread, but Owen Senior, anytime I went up to the Ashland Mountain House right by Ski Wyndham and Owen Jr. made those Irish pancakes, I don't know if it's some type of McElroy secret recipe that's got some crack in it or something like that, but I couldn't stop eating that the entire time I was there.
Yeah.
Steve, I have one thing I want to say.
Please.
Anybody can serve a drink behind the bar, but it's a very special person that's a bartender.
Yeah, that's
it.
a good point. You're going back to what we were talking about before, but
Right.
that's a great point. And I've yelled at my bartenders about that before. I say, I don't need drink servers. They've heard me say this a million times. I don't need drink servers. I need bartenders.
Yes.
A monkey can serve drinks. I don't want someone that's just a mechanical, here's your drink, turn away and go to the next person.
I remember
It's fun-
when my father had the bar in Newark and I was 16 or 17 years old. He would go up and down the bar and say, did you know this guy, he's from Roscommon or he's from Mayo, and this guy's from Belfast. He'd have the whole bar talking to one another. And
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't see that anymore today.
And to know what everyone does for a living,
Right.
and their wives' names
and their kids,
and their
what they're
kids.
doing.
Yeah, that's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Logan the engineer says you need to put the tend in bartender, as in tend to the people and the atmosphere. And I totally agree. In my world, what I just heard from you guys is we don't need people pushing product. We need people.
Yeah.
Right.
People. I like that. Yep. Exactly right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we might, I'll tell you what, on Sunday mornings, we might have to do that. Get some crepes in here, Irish pancakes. And, when I was managing, sorry, go ahead.
I said it takes a real man to serve Irish pancakes. That's for sure.
They're phenomenal, though. If I do say so myself. But yeah, at the Madison when I was managing there a long time ago for Dave Carney over in Hoboken, we had the Tuesday Martini Tuesday, which is still there today, all these years later. But we also tried a Make Your Own Bloody Mary. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep. I remember the Bloody Mary bar from the other place that's right down the road from them.
Okay.
But that sounds like a disaster in the making.
Exactly. People would come up to the bar, we'd give them the pint glass, the ice, and the vodka of their choice. And then we'd charge them, and they'd walk away, and they'd go over to a station, and there'd be 100 different kinds of hot sauces and this, and celery, and clamato juice, tomato juice. And there'd be recipes posted above it. You'd have all your silver tins where they could shake it. And they would love it.
It's great, man. We got to take a quick break, but we will be right back with Owen J. McElroy. He's the owner of OJ Max in Bayonne, New Jersey. Stay with us, people.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
If anything is bad.
Welcome back to Always Friday. It's me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. We are chatting with Owen J. McElroy Jr. and Sr. They are the folks behind OJ Max, an Irish public house located in Bayonne, New Jersey. OJ, this is the madness part of my show. This is where we like to talk about the artistic observational part of everyone's daily life, their 9 to 5, their experiences. And there are fewer places to find madness stories. There are very few places that you can find bigger madness stories than an Irish pub, I would like to think.
Yeah. This segment could be like 20 hours long.
Yeah, we might not have time for all the different types of madness, but some of the top stories you have from your travels around the field, when you did OJ Max back in the day, when you're doing it now, when you were doing the bed and breakfast thing. Dude, so I have some awesome memories from the Ashland Mountain House going up to your bed and breakfast that was by Ski Wyndham. That was a great time. But aside from the signs that you guys have, on little chalkboards and everything posted around, I had this one up before I quit drinking yesterday. Today's my return to celebration, whatever.
Yeah.
Things like Mark Twain's quotes: "Too much of anything is bad, but too much whiskey is barely enough."
Oh yeah.
I kind of feel the same way, and some of my friends, you included, most likely have the most ridiculous whiskey collections you could ever fathom. But yeah. I want to hear some stories that you have from the field. Again, some from the past, some from today. You started to allude to some of them there, even just the folks that sit on their phones these days and don't pay attention to people. But let's hear a little bit from your travels. What kind of lessons can we learn from some of the madness you've seen?
Well, you're gonna have to help me on this one, because I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to start. Yeah, there's a million stories. I wasn't even prepared for this madness. I could tell you. Well, I don't know if I should tell the story. The lot of bouncing and security. The whole, there's the whole part of making sure that you don't overserve people. I guess this could tie into a whole madness segment.
Yes.
And it's funny, when I sold my old bar, I sold it to 2 guys. I kept the building and I became their landlord. And I gave them a list of the people that were banned from my bar. I said, hey, these guys are this, that, maybe a drug dealer, maybe they start trouble a lot. They're looking for a fight. They're power drinkers. They're bottom line, they're a liability.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't heed my advice, yeah, I don't think. And I mean, I know. And sure enough, one of the guys, I would go in there. I would still frequent the place, even though I didn't run the business anymore. And sure enough, it's a tragedy, but I sold it in February of the one year. So the night before Thanksgiving, which would be what, like 10 months later, which is the busiest bar night of the year, other than maybe a St. Patty's Day and a New Year's Eve. Unfortunately, a kid was hit and he never woke up. And the guy who threw that punch, who actually has passed away a few years ago, also, I found out, but he threw the deadly punch, and the kid was pronounced dead 4 hours later in the Bayonne hospital. And at that time, I wasn't the owner of the bar; I just owned the building. But not to bring it to a sad, to bring the show down at all, but you do have. When I think of madness in a bar, I think of the
There's
madness,
a lot of liability.
the potential madness of people who have no right having more than one or two drinks. There's a lot of, keeping my language PG, there's a lot of jerks and people that don't know how to behave themselves. And, security is no joke. Sometimes you get security where I'm looking for the guy and then I see him walk out of the bathroom with another guy. I'm like, oh, that security guy's a drug dealer. He's done. You can go home right this second. I'll catch a bouncer doing a drink, or they're floating outside, or they're two doors down talking to somebody down the sidewalk, doing me no good. But yeah, there's plenty of times where you have to really make sure you know who can and can't come into your bar. I've already banned a few people. I've only had this place since November 1st.
You've banned a few people already?
I have. Oh yeah. Matter of fact, the staff has joked about making a black book, literally with the names of the people and how long that I tell them that we should keep them banned. Like, should it be just a month, or should it be forever, or should it just be a year? And the one guy, he doesn't know it yet, but he's banned for 2 years. This guy has started trouble with a bunch of people, and I'm not even going to get into the things that he said to a few people, but these people wanted to strangle him for the things that he said. Very insensitive, very hurtful things. And then he said something about having a knife on him. I said, "That's it.
Get the fuck.
You're done. That's game over for you." But yeah, and there's been plenty of scuffles. I haven't had any scuffles in here yet. And that first bar I had, the first OJ Max, we went a whole year and beyond before we had any type of a scuffle. I prided myself, and still do, on how. Yeah, that's something to be said. And I pride myself on running a very tight ship. And that goes with the staff too. I don't need my staff, having more than a drink or two per shift, if at all any. I mean, technically they're not supposed to have any, but if they're sneaking something and I don't know about it, they better not sneak more than one or two, because they have to have their wits about them. It's their job to monitor and police the customers. I mean, how are they going to keep track of the customers if they've had too much themselves? And that's a really important thing. It's against the law to overserve somebody, literally. And guess what? If somebody were to drive out of this place, leave here and drive home, and they crash and kill somebody, obviously they can sue me, the bar, but they're going to sue and arrest the bartender who overserved them. Yep. And that's a fact. I mean, there was an old restaurant called Ground Round. That's exactly what happened. And nowadays there's an insurance policy called Dram Shop, which is not a mandatory thing in Jersey. Only 6% of all bar owners have Dram Shop, but it protects you from any liability outside of the grounds of your restaurant or bar. So, and a lot of bar owners don't even know that. So if any other bar owners hear this, look up Dram Shop. I have it. It's only like another $700 a year, but it covers you for anything that might happen 5 towns away. Somebody crashes 5 towns away and says, "My last drink was at OJ Max." All right. Well, first of all, prove it, because I'd like to think that we didn't do anything wrong. But if they can prove it, God forbid, that's what Dram Shop covers you for. So that's the crappy part of the business, having to make sure everybody behaves themselves. Like we said before, we alluded to the whole fact of they're coming here for consistent experience. They don't need to leave here having seen 1 or 2 scuffles take place. They're going to say, "Oh, this is like a roadhouse bar that Patrick Swayze should be bouncing at." Like,
right.
We don't need that. So
You might think of it as a crappy part of the business, OJ, but it's like it's so necessary. Risk management is a part of any business.
that's true.
Security is a part of any business. Like it's obviously you can paint the picture very vividly here with a number of things.
Yeah.
But this is stuff that you kind of need to have on lockdown anyway if you're going to run a successful enterprise. It's got to be consistent. You got to, especially with something like this, like we were talking about before, right? In order
Yeah.
to do business with anybody, they have to like you, trust you, and think you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And as upsetting as some of those stories can be, that's total reality check. And one thing I'll say to you from the last couple of years since the pandemic, especially, which is when I started doing this show, it changed a lot of views on certain things and a lot of enablement. But good help is hard to find. It was always hard to find in the hospitality industry, but now it's hard to find in every industry. If you're a law firm, if you're an accounting firm, if you have a doctor practice, like good help is hard to find everywhere. Just like it is for you, you want to find people. You want to find the bartenders that tend to the establishment and the people. You don't want people serving drinks.
Yeah. Yeah. Honesty and dependability are the very first two things I look for anybody I interview. And, the most honest people, I'm not going to name names, but you can think of some of the people that have worked for me in the past who I trust and I love them to death. And I'm still friends with them today. But even people like that, who I love and trust, and I'll entrust the bar and restaurant to somebody if I'm on vacation. These are the people, my go-to people, who will watch the place while I'm gone for a few days. Even the most honest person, when you have that much cash in front of you and access to the till and the temptation of skimming, it's so easy to skim. And you know what? If you're giving drinks away, you know what? You're stealing because you're giving away my product.
Yep.
In hopes of getting a bigger tip. You know what? That's stealing.
Yep.
So it's really difficult. I can't stress that enough on finding very honest people who will stay honest even when you're not around. You want them to have your back. They exist, and I'd like to think that everyone that works for me right now is honest. But what I'm trying to say is it's not easy to find.
Those are the people you want that do the right thing when no one's looking. That's the same in almost every business. I can't let this madness segment go by, Owen, without asking you about this. So I pulled this picture off of your social media, and you could totally convince me that this. You could totally convince me this is true. But if it's not,
think half the people thought it was true, and half thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a Snapple fact type of thing where you got to determine if it's true or not. But whatever you said on here, it's like if there's more than half an inch ahead on a beer in Ireland, you can go to jail for 2 years with no parole.
I embellished on that just a tad. But what is true, and I remember hearing, we've been to Ireland many times, and the one time we were there for 18 days. That's a long time to see green fields and stone walls.
And Guinness.
And sheep, and Guinness. But I do remember way more than one person in all the pubs we were at, and we were almost in every one of the 26 counties. I'm sorry, the 32 counties, 26 in the south, 6 in the north. But yeah, they all were saying, and they said it adamantly. I think it was actually maybe not a law, but if you don't get a Guinness with a half inch ahead or less, technically you don't have to pay for it, and they can push back their beer. I embellished with the whole jail time thing, but it's funny too. This is a little side note. This is how serious they take their Guinness. Most of the bars, pubs in Ireland, every one of them behind the bar, they have a pot with about half of it filled with water, and it's bubbling and it's boiling. Every single beer, the Guinness, just the Guinness that they pour, they take it from the beer tower, and they put it into the pot of boiling water, and they let it sit there for about 20 seconds. They pull it out, let it drip for a sec, and then they hand it to the customer, because Guinness is supposed to be served close to room temperature, but you can't keep it at room temperature; it'll go bad, like in the walking cooler, or if you have a glycol system cooling the beer up to your beer tower. But when you pour the beer right out of the tap, it's going to be like under 40 degrees. But they try to warm it up closer to 50, 60 before they hand it off. That's how serious they take it. And those are the same people telling me you can't give a Guinness with more than so much head. So
Well, I was looking for the perfect time to put this in the background. It would seem like there's no time like the present, but that's Irish as feck.
Irish respect.
Irish
Not a
as
curse
feck.
word.
Not a
Yeah.
curse word. But we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with OJ and OJ, Owen McElroy Jr. and Sr. They are the geniuses behind OJ Max, an Irish public house in Bayonne, New Jersey. Stay with us, people.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Broncu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. We are chatting with Owen J. McElroy, Jr. and Sr., geniuses behind OJ Max Bar and Restaurant, Irish Public House in Bayonne, New Jersey. Gentlemen, this has been an absolute blast. It's not going to be anywhere near as fun as when I get up to the OJ Max in person. We share some drinks. But this is awesome. I love being able to do this show and to do it on a topic like this with folks like you fine people. There's just nothing better. So, gentlemen, this is the message part of the show. When I started this, the whole idea was from Weekend Insight to Monday Impact. And I got to say, you've given a decent amount of insight. I already forgot what the name is of that insurance, but if I ever own a bar, I need that right away. If all you guys out there who own bars don't have it, I don't know why the hell you don't have it. You got to get it. But, what we need here, couple sound bites to just leave everybody with over the weekend. And obviously we want a little call to action for people to come check out OJ Max. I don't think we need too much encouragement. Nobody needs all that much encouragement to drink these days. There's plenty to drink about, right? But if you're going to do it, you got to do it at OJ Max in Bayonne, New Jersey. That's the bottom line. So give us some sound bites, bro. Tell us some things you want people to take away from today.
What's a good soundbite, Pop? Come up with. You got some old Irish adages.
A man that drinks is worse than a beast in the field, and a man that don't drink is a hell of a lot worse.
All right, we'll take.
That's phenomenal, actually. It's my buddy Tommy D, who does the show right before me, Philanthropy in Focus. He quit drinking like 11 or 12 years ago. And it's like he always does like the Heineken Zeros and things like that. It's like I always appreciate it. Like he gave it up. Like he's keeping strong with it. But everyone's always like looks at the Heineken Zero. I always feel like I'm in the Wolf of Wall Street. It's like, but if you drink a lot of it, does it do it? Does it give you a little buzz? No, none of that. One big thing that we've said over and over again, and it's something I say every week for the last 3.5 years, is it's about the people in the process first. And you talked about some of your methodology, right? You don't want people who are serving drinks. You want people bartending. tending to the
Yeah.
people, tending to the business, especially if you're not
Tending
around.
bar. I don't
Tending
need
bar.
drink service. I need bartenders.
Yes, and
Yeah,
that
2 words, bartenders.
right. It's a very people centric type of skill, right? And this is the part that I see people fall down on, and it's not just in a setting like this where people are staring at their phones instead of being attentive to people's needs, wants, and wish list in the bar. This is kind of universal. Like, it doesn't matter what your profession is, people are just distracted. Like, I'm an ADD guy. Almost everybody I know is an ADD person at this point. Man, woman, child, doesn't like everybody is so distracted by everything nowadays. And it's something that back when I was a kid, like my parents didn't even believe in. And now it's just like rampant just because everybody's got the phone in front of them.
And I don't need my bartenders distracted. I mean, or the servers or the barbacks or even the cooks. I mean, my staff, and I would think any bar owner's staff, should want their staff to grab the bull by the horns in the best way possible. You know, a sense of urgency is by far one of my favorite quotes when you're in a bar setting. You need to have you know, they say never let the people see you sweat. All right, well, you could apply that as well, but having a sense of urgency is what every bartender, not just here, but I'm telling you, if you're working for me, you better have a sense of urgency. You know, if somebody walks in and there's 20 hands out and I only have two bartenders, you know, anybody can keep their head down and make drinks, and then they lift their head up and they look at the next person whose hand is out, who's closest to them. All right, well, that guy just walked up 20 seconds ago. The guy 3 people down has been sitting here for 15 minutes. You need to attack the crowd with a smile. You need to be so aware. When people walk in the door, you need to like say, I'll get to you as soon as I can. Now that person knows they've been acknowledged. It's like the biggest mistake any bartender ever makes is you can have the exact same sales one night to the other. 2 bartenders on a Friday night will have, let's say, 3,000 in sales, and their head was down the whole time. People got their drinks, but not in the right order. People had their head down, and right when they were done, they made the next set of drinks. The very next night, the bartenders will have the exact same sales, but their tips will be twice as much because the people were happier.
Yes.
They were acknowledged. They were attacked with a smile, with a sense of urgency, but for the best reasons. You know what I'm saying? If somebody wants to chit chat with you, do that when it's a little slower. Your friends come in and they're having drinks at the bar and they want to tell you about their day, but there's 20 hands out. You better tell your friends, hey, listen, I want to hear about this, but let me just take care of everybody at the bar. That's my job. And then I'll come back when there's a little bit of downtime. That's the whole point of it. People want they don't want to sit around waiting for their drinks. So anyway, that's one little takeaway that, you know, over the years I picked up. You know, sense of urgency, attack the customers with a smile, and don't, you know, if you're going to be lazy or slow, do that tomorrow on your off day when you're raking your leaves at home. Don't do it here.
Yeah, no, there's no place for
that.
that.
It's an absolute disservice to my customers.
Yep. And again, when you're working in a service business, like people say it all the time. It's like, we pride ourselves on service. Yeah. Proof is in the pudding, baby. Proof is in the soda bread, you know?
Proof is in the blue steel pizza.
The blue steel pizza. And the Irish pancakes, which I'm not gonna stop until there's an Irish brunch.
I'll tell you what, you come in, I'm waiting for you. I'm gonna make them that day. I got to give a shout out to my cousin Sean Hines too. If I open another place, he's definitely going to go in partners with me. He's been an integral part here. He's been helping me, you know, just he's so supportive. My one cousin, my first cousin. I don't know if you ever met Sean.
I don't think so.
He's here quite a bit. I mean, he'll be the first one to help sweep and do this, do that, paint. Hey, cuz, how can I help you? So he's here all the time, and I'm telling you right now, if I open a second, third, or fourth, he's definitely going to be a partner. So I appreciate my cousin Sean so much.
Very much so. And if we can do expansion down to Monmouth County, that would be wonderful as well.
We'll come right down there.
I don't know if I took this from your feed or somewhere else, but I was just laughing my ass off when I saw this.
Yeah, I did put that up there.
It's a Jack bottle. It's a Jack bottle popping out from the work monitors going, no, Jack, not now. I'm working.
Yeah. And we have two essentially we have 2 happy hours. We have the typical happy hour, 4 to 7, and the drinks are very well priced. But then we also have a happy hour, and we call it power hour, but that's not to be confused with, hey, we want you to power drink. No, it rhymes. We just went with power hour, but all it means is from 9:30 to 10:30, 7 days a week, from the day I open the first bar to the day I close, and then the first day I open this bar, November 1st. I've had it forever, and that means we have $1 and $2 and $3 drinks, everything, minus your very top shelf. And that's just a way to get everybody in here. And then hopefully we retain a bunch of the people that are here to enjoy that promotion every day. And if we don't, we don't. But it's a nice little secondary happy hour that we have every day. If I may advertise a little bit.
We have to wrap up here shortly, but in a couple of brief words, give us an idea of what last Sunday was like at OJ Max in Bayonne, New Jersey.
I could tell you that my old bar, the one I used to run from 2001 to 06, was, in my opinion, and everyone used to tell me this, was by far the busiest bar in town, and that was 30 blocks north, also in Bayonne. I never thought that this bar would be as busy as that was. This was way busier, 30, 40, 50% busier. And it blew my mind. It was refreshing. It just reminded me of the old days. I was looking forward to it. I love moving like that. I love it when a big crowd is making you stand on your toes, stay on your toes, and trying to keep up with the crowd that demands. We set up an extra shop, a work area, I should say, with ice and extra beer and everything, so we wouldn't have to go through the crowd to get it, to try to be as efficient as possible during that really busy day. But yeah, in short, it was busier than I thought, and I'm very grateful to everybody from Bayonne, everybody that came out. We got the best customers and friends and people that come in here that I could ever hope for. I mean, the people from Bayonne I've always described people from Bayonne as what you see is what you get, and I mean that in the absolute best way. Right? Yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
The realest people. They don't pull any punches, which I love. You ask them their opinion, they're not going to tell you what you want to hear. They'll tell you their actual opinion, which I want. And there's just a lot of true blue people in here and friendships I've made in Bayonne over the years that I love.
OJ Max is the spot. Follow him on social media. OJ Max Bayonne on Instagram. What is it? 206 Broadway. That's the new address.
Yes, 206.
The 206 Broadway in Bayonne. That's the spot. I'll be there sooner than later. Owen and Owen will be there. Go have some drinks with them. Owen, I got to tell you before we close this out real quick, and I texted you about this. I ask every single guest I've ever interviewed questions about movies, TV, and music to relay some of those answers, a little bit more personal touch to the audience, because I love movies, TV, and music.
Sure.
So now I need to have another interview with you because we don't have time for it today. But one thing I do when I get those answers is I superimpose the guest's face onto the pictures. So I just put your face on the leprechaun from the Leprechaun movie because I just couldn't help myself. But yeah, we will have another revisiting of OJ Max in Bayonne, maybe from an on-site discussion, actually eating Irish pancakes one day. Who knows? You never know.
Steve, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Dude, this was phenomenal. Owen Sr., phenomenal to see you as well. Great stuff, guys. I can't wait to freaking go there and put back some pints and some of this. How do you say it? Bunratty?
Bunratty. Irish whiskey. Yes.
Bunratty Irish whiskey. That's what's next on my stop, baby. I'll see you guys in Bayonne.
Thanks so much.
We appreciate you guys joining us here on Always Friday. We hope you got some weekend insight to make that Monday impact. Have a great weekend and a very happy National Cheesesteak Day. We will see you guys Friday, 11 a.m. next week, right here on talkradio.nyc. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks, brother.